Hi, I'm Finn, a fellow member of Al-Anon. If you're watching this, chances are you love someone who drinks too much or use substances in a way that affects your peace of mind. And maybe, like me, you've tried everything to keep the peace. Fixing, explaining, rescuing, walking on eggshells. None of those things really work. Today, I'm talking about something that has completely changed my life, setting boundaries with the alcoholic. Not as a way to punish them, but as a way to take care of myself. I'll share some tips about how you can set boundaries and what to do when they get pushed. Hey friends, welcome back to Al-Anon Recovery Hacks, where we break down recovery into practical everyday tools. If you're ready for more serenity and less chaos, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, just a quick note, I'm not a spokesperson for Al-Anon or any other 12-step group. Everything I share here is based on my own personal experience, strength, and hope. Take what you like and leave the rest. When I came into Al-Anon, I really didn't know what a boundary was. I thought it meant telling the alcoholic what they could or couldn't do. You can't drink around me, or you can't talk to me like that. And when they didn't listen, and they rarely did, I felt helpless. Al-Anon helped me shift that thinking. A boundary really isn't about changing them. It's about taking responsibility for me, for my time, my space, my money, my emotional safety. It's where I end and they begin. Let me tell you about a time when I had zero boundaries. I was trying to hold a job, manage my responsibilities, and care for someone like deep in their addiction. I was checking on them, explaining their strange behavior to others, constantly trying to get through to them. I thought if I just found the right words or the right time or showed enough love, they'd stop what they were doing. Instead, I started falling apart. I was anxious all the time. I couldn't sleep. I felt like I was drowning in someone else's chaos. The turning point came in a meeting where someone shared the slogan, "Detach with love." I had never heard that before. It kind of felt revolutionary. I can love someone and let go of trying to control them. It blew my mind. That was the first time I realized that boundaries weren't as cruel as I thought. They were actually loving to me and to the other person. I had to start pretty small, but it felt huge. One day when the alcoholic in my life called me, yelling and possibly under the influence, I didn't stay on the phone. I said, "I'm going to hang up now. I'll talk to you another time." And then I actually hung up. My hands were shaking, and I didn't know if I had done the right thing, but I felt empowered. And that's step one in action. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives become unmanageable. And setting boundaries is really how I reclaim my sanity. Okay, so here are some examples that you might set with an alcoholic. And it's really important because for me, I didn't know how to set these, so I needed examples. So here we go. Number 1, I'm not available to talk when you've been drinking. Number 2, I won't lie for you anymore. 3, I'm staying in a hotel when I come to visit. I feel better having my own space. 4, I'm not comfortable lending money right now. And in those examples, notice that I'm not saying they can't drink. What I'm saying is I will or won't do something in response to their behavior. It's kind of a subtle difference, but it's really important to keep the focus on me and what I'm going to do to take care of myself. I don't always have to communicate a boundary. Sometimes I can just do it, but in some cases it is important to communicate ahead of time what I might do. And what I found is that when I set the boundary clearly and make it about me, there's far less pushback, and they're much more willing to accept what I've said. And even if someone doesn't like it, if I'm consistent and follow through with what I say, eventually they will accept it. But the follow through is key. If I'm falling apart or I go back on what I said, I'm no good to anyone, especially myself. The boundaries protect relationships, and I have to start with the one that I have with myself. So it's really important to follow through and be clear on what I will and won't accept. The most common boundaries that you hear people setting is like, if you don't stop drinking, I'm going to leave. Or if you don't stop drinking, we're done. And that may be the boundary that you need to set. But if you're not willing to really follow through with it, if you intend to just issue an ultimatum and hope that they somehow stop drinking, you're just setting yourself up to lose your credibility, honestly. Like, if you say that and then they start drinking and you don't end it, like, there's no reason for them to believe you in the future. And so it's really important not to set ultimatums unless you intend to follow through. There's nothing that says that you can't change your mind, but really you want to be as clear as you can with a person about what you will and won't do. So you may say, like, I don't feel comfortable around the drinking. When you come home drunk, I'm going to leave. And that's a lot easier to do and follow through than to end it completely with someone who you really love and care about and don't know if you're ready to cut them out of your life entirely. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what happens when you set the boundary and you didn't get the response that you thought you would, or you get pushback. And this is one of the hardest things, I think, to do, is to set the same boundary repeatedly, because it can feel very personal and you can feel very disrespected when you've been clear with somebody and yet they still cross that boundary. And I guess one good example for me would be, saying, I don't want any substances in my house, and the person continually brings something in, or they might, come to me and ask, can I do it in the house, more than once. And I just have to remember, this person doesn't know that I'm serious yet. Maybe in the past I have been wobbly, and maybe in the past I've allowed it. So it really just is important to continue to set that boundary clearly and kindly, and remember that this isn't about them not respecting me or not loving me or just trying to turn my screws. It's really about them being in their disease. And there's a lot of addiction and mental health stuff that makes people unable to, put down the substances. So really, I guess I would say, if you're struggling with how someone's reacting to a boundary, definitely call a friend, call a sponsor, talk it out with somebody, talk about what your options are. But don't get stuck and don't get discouraged, because it might not have anything to do with how you set the boundary or how many times you set the boundary. It's really about the other person just being unable to meet you where you need to be. And so there might be a different boundary that you can set to try to continue to take care of yourself. So here are a few things that you can try this week. Number one, reflect. Where do you feel drained or resentful in your relationship with the alcoholic? This might be a sign that a boundary is needed. You can practice a simple boundary script, which is, if you blank, I will blank, or that doesn't work for me. Read some of the conference-approved literature. You could use Courage to Change or How Al-Anon Works. Just search for entries about boundaries, detachment, or self-care. You can share, like bring this topic up in a meeting, or listen for others sharing their experience, strength, and hope on boundaries. And if you have other ideas, I would love to hear them. Like, send me a comment or a DM. If I miss something, I would love to include it in the notes. And so finally, I would just say, you're allowed to take care of yourself. Don't forget that. Boundaries are how we take care of ourselves. They're not walls to keep people out. They're doors that help us, control the access to our most inner selves. And this program is all about progress, not perfection. Like, you don't have to set the boundary perfectly. You can definitely fall on your face like I did, setting a lot of ones that are not quite coming from an I statement. But, the important thing is just to try, and you will get better at it over time. But remember, just keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you can do this. Thanks for being here. If today's hack helped, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe for more tools for the journey. And remember, we can't change them, but we can change how we show up. See you next time.